Hi guys, it's Laquilla. Welcome to my channel. This is the first full-length YouTube video from my channel. So thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna get right into the review, but before I do, please subscribe. I'm gonna be bringing you a lot about beauty from the inside out, but also about faith and sexuality. That's what I write about. That's kind of my bag. If you don't know that much about what I mean about faith and sexuality, you can go visit my website, laquilla.com, for more information. But whatever the case, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when I upload new videos. And yeah, if you're interested in my perspective as a Black woman, as a Christian, on the new movie Overcomer, stay tuned. All right, so I don't know if I'm going to end up editing this the way you guys are used to your favorite YouTubers doing it. So if that was an awkward little pause, that's what I've seen done, okay? But okay, let's get into the review. So the movie Overcomer is the latest movie that has been brought to you from the Kendrick brothers. And they are the ones who brought us The War Room, which was a pretty big box office success, and introduced us to Priscilla Shirer, who is the daughter of Dr. Tony Evans, and she basically kind of broke out and made a name for herself from the movie. It's a powerful movie. If you have not seen that movie, first of all, you need to rewind and see that. However, for the Overcomer movie, I just really wanted to support a movie that had a message to it. And I'm going to be honest, because it's going to be an honest, raw review. Because of Priscilla's name and her face, I feel like this was kind of the bait, right? They definitely baited me. I don't know who it was targeted toward, but I heard this on Spotify. I heard the ad, so I didn't see it on YouTube before I saw the movie. And so I don't know who they targeted, but they definitely targeted me because I pretty much listen to gospel. I listen to other things, but mainly gospel on my Spotify. And they targeted me. So I was like, yeah, I'm there. War Room was awesome. So I didn't have any hesitation. I don't follow her as of this recording. I don't follow her on social media. I'm sure I will. But I just know that she's somebody that just, she's just great. So anyhow, I was there, right? And so the movie really does not have a lot of lines from Priscilla, and I was really surprised by that. So just starting off, let me tell you, she's not the star, and that's okay, but she just didn't have as many lines. I wanted more from her, and but she does play a significant role, and we'll get into that later. So anyhow, when the movie opens, what we find is the main character, Hannah Scott, who is played by Aryn Wright-Thompson, and she's a breakout actress. I believe for like 8 years she had been auditioning, and this was her breakout role. And she's in real life, she's 16 years old. She's a junior in high school. And just as a side note, when I was doing research, I know that she's doing better because I saw that she was on Larry Reid Live on YouTube doing an interview, like just not that long ago. But she was in a very bad car accident, like somewhere in like the end of the spring or beginning of the summer, and it was a severe accident. Her mother and brother were injured as well, but not as bad as she was, and she had to have, I think, more than one surgery. And so the production company put that out to the public and they were asking them to pray. So if you're watching this and you believe in the power of prayer like I do, please pray for her that, even though she's well now, that she will not be hindered by her injuries and that she'll just have a full recovery. So, Aryn, we're praying for you. Aryn did an outstanding job. But anyway, we come up on her character, Hannah Scott. She is a 15-year-old. She's a sophomore. She's attending a Christian high school, but she is a klepto, right? She has sticky fingers. She's stealing from everybody. And she's not like an attitudinal, like outright disrespectful teenage girl. There's a lot going on internally. We just see that there's a lot that she internalizes and that she's not really expressing. And she's just kind of lost. She doesn't quite fit anywhere, and they don't do a lot to show that. You just get it, that she's just really not fitting in anywhere and just kind of lost. So that's what we see from her character. I'm sorry, I'm going to be moving around from my notes, but that's what we get from her character. She is asthmatic, and is being raised by her grandmother. And the only thing that seems to kind of stick out is that she has kind of a passion for running. And so she fits into the storyline or she fits into the film because we come up on the high school that she's attending has John Harrison and Amy Harrison. They are a married couple. They have 2 sons. One of their sons attends the high school. And John is both a teacher and the basketball coach. Amy is, I think, the science teacher. And the boys' basketball team, they don't do so well for the ending of the year. However, their program is in trouble because what we find in the story is that the town's plant or some business, I don't remember, is closing down. And so a lot of jobs are leaving, and which means people are moving and they're going to take their kids. And so most of John's starting lineup, they're going to be gone. They're going to be out. So Priscilla Schreier, I hope I'm saying that right. She plays Miss Brooks, the principal, and she, asks John, hey, I need you to go ahead and coach the cross country team. And John he's not with it. He has this vision for his basketball team, and he's already feeling, some kind of way because a lot of his team members are, they're leaving. And so, but he's pretty much forced to coach it. Hannah is the only student who shows up, as you probably can see in the preview, and is on the team. Now, in the meantime, just as John is reluctant to coach this team, he has volunteered to go minister to someone at the local hospital. And this is not something that he does in his church. That's not his role. He's volunteered to do it. And while he's there at the hospital, he bumps into Thomas Hill, who is played by Cameron Arnett. Now, Aryn Wright-Thompson, as I said, she's a newbie actress on the scene. However, Cameron Arnett, he is both an actor and a producer, and his IMDb, I have to say that slow, says that he is both an actor and producer, that he's known for Meet the Browns, Stand Your Ground, and Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987. So this man he has 43 credits to his name, and he's a seasoned actor. I didn't recognize him, but then again, I'm not a movie buff, so it's a good chance that some of you would recognize him. Now, Thomas Hill is a man who is a believer and he loves God, but he has a dark past, and you could tell that he's still troubled. He loves God, he's grateful for his life, but he's in trouble. He is a diabetic. He's there at the hospital, kind of like on a permanent basis for dialysis, but he's also blind. Diabetes took his vision, and he makes a I got distracted. I'm sorry, y'all. He says in the movie at one point that he said, God had to let me lose my sight so I could see. And that kind of speaks for itself, right? Because he lost his physical eyesight, his physical vision, it took that for him to really open up his heart and to get a vision, inwardly for his life and for his purpose, his destiny. And what happens is John, as somebody who's coming in to minister to people in the hospital, you would think that he would be the person to encourage Thomas. Thomas's character ends up encouraging John, and he asks him, who are you? If I stripped away your titles of coach and husband and all these things that he names, who are you? Who does God say that you are? And so it really puts something on John's mind. They become friends, and John, is meeting. He begins to go and see Thomas on a pretty regular basis. Now, as you may have put together, if not, what happens is John begins to hear Thomas talk about how he has a past of being a former addict. He is a father. His child was taken away and raised by her grandmother, happens to be born on Valentine's Day, and her mother died as a result of her addiction. Now, the first point I'll tell you now is I did some side-eye because for a black female character to be associated with meth addiction, don't get me wrong, I understand that addiction, it has no it doesn't pick and choose, but we do know that certain drugs are associated with certain populations, not just race-wise, but even socioeconomic-wise. So I was like, I don't know. I kind of felt like that was a little odd. But whatever the case, Thomas was older than Hannah's mother's character, and he introduces her to drugs. And so he's no longer in that condemnation phase of his life, but you can tell that he regrets a lot of things. And I don't know if y'all can see that my battery's going down because I've recorded this so many times, but he is troubled, right? He regrets not being the father that he should be to his child and just living for God while he was young and while he was strong. He happens to be a good runner as well. So good that and even in his 30s, he ran, some pretty big races. So John puts two and two together. He tells Thomas, I think I'm coaching your daughter. I think I know who your daughter is or found her. And, would you like to meet her? He goes and talks to Miss Brooks, Priscilla's character, and she tells him, this could not be a good thing if you're not talking to the grandmother as the guardian. And I'm thinking to myself as a formal social services worker, this is not good. But him and his wife, they pray about it. Miss Brooks says, whatever you feel is the best thing to do. And as a side note, Miss Brooks actually is the reason that Hannah's attending the school. She's gotten kicked out of a school before, and Miss Brooks is helping to pay for her Christian education and knew Hannah's mother. So, Hannah meets Thomas, and the first meeting doesn't go that well. She wants to meet him again. Her heart softens up. She asks him those tough questions that a daughter asks her father. Why weren't you there for me? Why didn't you look for me? That sort of thing. And we see a change begin to take place in her life. Miss Brooks does follow up with Hannah and says, hey, I heard you met your father. How are you doing? And this is where we actually hear from her on a pretty, kind of in a flow, as well as Hannah. And they have this dialogue. And Priscilla's character, Miss Brooks, she walks Hannah through the steps of salvation, and Hannah gives her life to Christ, and it's a very powerful moment. And we begin to see her read her Bible and just get to question who she is as far as who God says that she is. And I remember, actually, I wrote this down, that Miss Brooks even says to her that God defines his creation. The creator defines his creation. We don't let other people define us. And we don't even really define ourselves completely, because at times we are hard on ourselves, and our self-perception is flawed by what the enemy tells us, what people tell us, and what we say to ourselves, which is not always accurate, right? Or loving. Anyhow, one of the things that really stuck out to me is Hannah, she begins to write I am statements. And I'm sure you saw that in the preview, but I wanted to show you my I am statements. So I started doing I am statements, and I have not done them in a while, but I started doing them in 2017. And 2 or 3 days before I went to see the movie, again, I did not see the YouTube preview. I only heard it on Spotify. I came across my I am statements from 2017. I wanted to show them to you. But this is the part of the movie when Hannah starts writing her I am statements. I got emotional, y'all, and I started crying. There are my I am statements. And I cried because I know what impact it makes on your life. When I started doing I am statements, it changed my life. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic. It really did. If in the comments, if you are interested in me doing a tutorial or me sharing my experience with I am statements and why they're important, let me know, and I definitely will do that. But very powerful thing. But anyhow, we're coming up on the very big race, like the state finals. And there's a rule that gets passed that runners can have an earpiece in their ear only if the material's pre-recorded. And so John gets the bright idea to have Thomas record or pre-record the whole course, him encouraging Hannah, giving her tips, and kind of being there with her in spirit, since he can't be there physically with her to support her. And so it's a really powerful moment when he's recording that, and then the race happens. Now, this is where we get into the ending. I've given you a lot of spoilers. I'm not going to tell you the ending. If you're interested in the comments on me just going ahead and telling you, since this was a week ago that the movie came out, let me know. But I don't want to give it away just yet. But anyhow, The ending is realistic. That's all I will say. They did a great job on keeping it real, keeping it relevant, and I appreciated them for that. There are moments that are kind of difficult, but more, than anything, it's just, like I said, it's realistic, and it puts something on your mind and on your heart. Here is what I think about the movie. I think that the movie is definitely worth going to see. I think that it's actually very relevant for younger people. And I'm not saying that because I'm somebody who it's like young people should see this and they shouldn't see that. War Room was relevant for them as well. But this movie really was, because granted, Thomas, John, and even Hannah's grandmother, they are struggling with who they are in Christ and their identity due to disappointment, due to failure, due to frustration, due to unforgiveness, grief, health issues. These are all things as adults, especially young people can experience these too, but as grown people, we definitely experience these things. And so it's relevant to us, but that identity piece is so relevant to this generation, this new generation, as well as many of them being raised by grandparents, not just because of meth addiction, drug addiction, period. And just due to a lot of the generational differences that are going on, we just have a lot of grandparents raising grandkids. So a lot of people can relate, but young people can. What else? The movie was just very well made. The Kendrick brothers, they did a great job in War Room, where it was quality, from the wardrobe to the makeup. I noticed that in the movie, the black women, they had natural hair, which, you can wear your hair however you want to, but it is important that we see black characters that are not just looking trendy, that are diverse, right? And just their thoughts and how they look and things of that nature. So I thought it was just very well done, very well put together, very well thought out. The movie, as I mentioned earlier, started off very, very slow. And there were moments where John Harrison would crack some jokes and nobody in the theater laughed. I felt like they spent a lot of time giving us background on his life and just showing his home life and what he was thinking, how he was feeling. We got way more out of his character in a more rounded way than we did with Hannah's character. With Thomas, it was hard to do that because he was, bedridden in a hospital. But with Hannah's character, I really wanted to just, what was Hannah thinking before she gave her life to Christ? Yes, she was lonely and didn't have friends, but how did she feel about not having her mother in her life? How did it impact her besides her just sitting at home because her grandmother was at work? I wanted to see that, and I wanted young people to see that and get that mirror image. I just felt like those characters were a little bit more or a little bit less dimensional than John's character. They didn't cheat them, but it could have been better. All right, so I'm coming to the close of this video. I don't want this to be more than 20 minutes. I know I've rambled, but hopefully it was a good review for you. Let me know in the comments, have you seen The War Room? Have you seen Overcomer? Have you seen the movie yet? Also, did you see War Room? I know there's some people who probably skipped it. There are a lot of great movies out there that people do not see, even though people are raving about it at the time. And so I totally understand, but have you seen Overcomer? If you have not, do you plan on seeing it in the theater, or will you wait for it to come out on DVD, or did you bootleg it? I know some people did that too. I think it's really it's worth going out to the movies to see it, because number one, we don't get these types of movies with a message, on a consistent basis in the theater. But even if we did, this is a really good movie. I'm going to tell you guys, Thomas Hill, his character is just so impactful. It's the only word I can come up with. He's a really good character, and it's so great to see this black man, even though he's bedridden, he is doing all that he can to right his wrongs and to let his light shine before all men. Even though his circumstances and his situation are not ideal and it's not what he wants. And it shows us that God can use us no matter where we are, no matter our circumstances. And to me, that spoke volumes as well. Once again, if you just, whatever you have to say, however you felt about the movie, if you saw it, if you didn't, let me know in the comments. But whatever the case, please subscribe. Please give this video a thumbs up. It's my first. Hopefully I didn't do too much rambling for you, but I am a talker. So with that being said, the last thing I want to say is please pray for the main character, Aryn Wright-Thompson. I was doing my research on her, just her background. She's a newbie, and I think I said that, but she was in a really bad car accident. I want to say late spring or early summer, and it was her mother, and her brother. She was injured pretty severely. Now, I know that she's definitely better because she did an interview with Larry Reid Live not too long ago on YouTube, but she went through, I think, more than one surgery and was pretty severely injured, and the production company actually put out a statement asking people to pray for her and just like breaking that news. So Aryn, I don't know if you'd ever see this video, but I am praying for you, and I'm asking anybody who watches this to please say a prayer for her, because we don't want her injuries to hinder her her future work, and also just that she be encouraged and that she not feel hindered by this incident. So with that being said, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.